fact that we've been working from home for the last 90 days and above, what, as per you, would be the future of workplace?
Whatever is going on right now is actually give a lot of confidence to leaders, to organizations, to have this model, as a permanent model. We will be having at least some 40-50% of people working from home, even after COVID-19. In place, there are time sheets and things like that to check productivity, and why not? So this was always a question, but now we got a confidence, right?
Yeah. And it's possible to do.
Even places like Japan. So our Japanese, if they're known for coming to work, and so that's the culture. But even our Japanese office is working from home, and they are also finding it okay to have this work from home thing.
We've been actually thinking a lot about this. Offices are here to stay, but the purpose of the office will be very different. And I think the scale of offices and the consumption of seats traditionally that the IT and IT enabled services sector has seen is going to be vastly different. And even simply because even if offices are here to stay, you're not going to have people sit next to each other unless they have 2.5 meters of distancing. So by instantaneously, you're at 50% capacity because the government regulations say so. The cafeteria regulations say so. The hygiene health, as per the Disaster Management Act of the country, as long as it is still active, and then so that becomes the new norm of office. Then affordability will come into play, the return on that investment. Why do you even need to have to come when you're able to prove? But we do have a certain percentage who have to work only at the office because of data privacy. There is a cyber security VPN that needs to go. Financial services sector clients, European GDPR related work that cannot be done from a paying guest room.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 70% of our people are all youngsters, no? And they work out of paying guests and youth hostels and wherever else. And they work out of a cot and a pillow or a dining table because that's the flat surface, which is a common dining table, or maybe a dresser because that's the only flat surface. You can't sustain work like that.
Is, post-vaccine world, which if it is not very distant in future, will challenge some of the decisions that might be, too extreme at this point in time. So it's important for leaders to have that sense of balance, that something which was absolutely fine in crisis time may not necessarily be fine after a year or two. So, that sense of proportion and sense of balance definitely should apply in all the decisions that we take.
Just based on the feedback, what people are saying, we do see a small population coming into office, at least for larger meetings where there is a need to connect in person, far more reduced than what we used to have in terms of when we were all physically working at office. I think the number of those instances will reduce, but there will be a good number of people who will be visiting office for such events and instances where it makes things far easier to work in person rather than on virtual meetings. And the second population that will come to office is definitely those youngsters. But overall, the number of people coming to office will be far less. We don't know whether it will be 20% or 30% or 50%. We don't know what that number will look like. Having said that, the workplace will still continue to exist, maybe a smaller workplace with fewer seats, and with people will, hot desking where people will book that I'm coming into office today, that kind of a thing. Of course, most of our properties are leased, so for until a certain time. But the moment that we are nearing the lease, there is already talks in terms of, do we need such a big facility?